Don't move. Turn your fantasy football into reality. Here's CJ.
Welcome back. I hope that you're having a great week. I hope that your fantasy team's in first place and undefeated. We actually, on an upcoming show, we're going to talk about undefeated seasons. Have you ever had one? I came so close one time. It just drove me nuts, but that's not what we're talking about today. Today, what we're talking about is setting your lineup, the correct way to set your lineup. Now, Thursday night, that's the bane of my existence. I do not like playing players on Thursday night. My reasoning for that is that players get hurt, they get bruised up, and they get stiff, and they get sore, and on Sunday and Monday, it's horrible on Sunday sometimes, right? And it takes a few days to get things back to normal. And my world is if it hurts on Wednesday, it hurts on Thursday. Possibly by the next Sunday it'll be okay. But Thursday night leads to disaster a lot of times because players just don't perform at their optimum level. There's arguments both ways. I mean, I'm never going to sit Rodgers, Kelsey, Diggs, and that level of player. Never going to sit them no matter when they play. But on Thursday night, I have a couple of rules that I live by, and I think that you'd be better off if you live by them too, but hey, it's up for debate. First thing you want to do is check for injuries. Well, that's kind of obvious on the may not play list, the questionables, the game time decisions. Oh, I hate those game time decisions, right? But find out why it's a game decision. Find out what the real story is behind the injury or the questionable. Could be his wife's having a baby and he might be late for the game. There's a ton of reasons why those questionables and game time decisions can mean nothing except that the player just wasn't available for a practice. So those kind of situations are okay, but in most cases it's because someone's, nursing an ankle or an injury of some sort, and I want to stay away from that as much as I can. So if I have two equal players, like let's say I have Jacoby Myers and Nico Collins, a similar player, and one's playing Sunday and one's playing Thursday, I'm playing the Sunday guy. I'm not risking it on the Thursday, especially the Qs. I mean, that to me is just a big red flag. And again, if you're hurting on Wednesday, you're hurting on Thursday. So I never play a player that is marginal or a player that could break out. I never gamble on Thursday nights because on Thursday nights, there's not a lot of prep time. And I'm just playing my stars on Thursday night, and the rest of the guys, I'll work on that on the weekend. And that's just the way I am with my league. Now, when setting a lineup for the weekend, there's also another little thing that I do. I'll check the team I'm playing against and see how I can compete against maybe their quarterback. Example, several years ago, I was in a game for first place. It was late in the season, and he had Cam Newton, and Devin Funchess was the number one wide receiver for Carolina, and he was on waivers. So I picked him up. So every time that his Cam Newton threw a touchdown pass that game, Devin Funchess was the guy who caught it. So he was getting 5 points for the quarterback throwing the touchdown, and I was getting 6 points for the touchdown. Well, it seemed fair enough to me. Anyway, I won that game. But it's a lesson learned, right? Is if someone's quarterback is playing and you have their top wide receiver, that's a definite play against that quarterback, no matter when it is. Thursday, Monday, Sunday, doesn't matter. And also, another tip, when you're setting your lineup, never play flex players first. Okay, but what I mean by that is the running back, wide receiver, quarterback positions, use those first. Thursday night, never put a guy in a flex spot on a Thursday night or even a Sunday morning. Save your flex spots for the end of the weekend, for the last games, because if something happens to a player and you've got a flex where you've got the option of putting in a tight end, wide receiver, or running back, and something happens to one of your running backs, You're not obligated to put a running back into that spot. You can put any player you have on your bench in there and you're still okay. Whereas if all your flex spots are gone and your running back gets hurt, you're obligated to put a running back in there and you may not have one. So always use the spots like quarterback, running back, etc. Use those first and keep your flex spots to the end. And in a super flex, you keep that super flex spot to the end as long as you can. And unless, a quarterback thing there, but you get the idea, is that use the multiple flex spots last. So in the event of a last minute emergency like COVID a couple of years ago, all of a sudden he's not playing, anyone on your bench can then go into that spot. So I hope that helps. It's setting your lineup, and send me a questions right here if you have any. Like and subscribe, and good luck with your next game. Remember, stay away from Thursdays. Ugh. CJ.